Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, intelligent, very hardworking, incredible packing and moving wife, Michelle.
Thank you, sweetie. Hi, everybody.
She is such a great packer. I'm telling you, all our stuff is loaded up and it's on our way to Florida. And that is why we are recording this episode actually on Sunday, May 22nd, 2022. It's releasing on May 29th, 2022. The reason for that is we are right in the midst of our big move to Florida.
Right. Traveling, getting our things out there, and starting a new adventure.
New Hyperion adventure out on the East Coast, and we're very excited about it. But yes, so this will be a little bit of a different show today. We will be doing a best of Hyperion Adventures today because of the fact that we are in the midst of the move. We couldn't get together to do a new show this week.
Right. Both of us are traveling. Different ways.
Different ways. One with the truck, one with the plane, but we are traveling and arriving actually sometime later today as this episode drops. So we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
we'd love for you to sign up for our newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. Just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. And although we took a week off this week from the newsletter, we expect to have a new one out for you this coming week, depending on a few logistics. But that is our plan at this point. Also, we love hearing from you on social media. Please follow us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. If you are on Facebook, come on over and join us for some good, positive Disney energy fun at our Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group.
Yeah, you'll find they're a really fun group with a lot of positivity, and we just love to, celebrate each other's fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So it's just a great group, a lot of fun, a lot of, whether it be Disney stuff that's going on in everybody's life, whether it be just, fun stuff going on in everybody's life. We just like sharing through that group and seeing what everybody's doing and what their adventures are in their own homes and in the parks. Yeah. So also we're on YouTube. If you want to find us there, just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit subscribe. You'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, including our anniversary episode is coming up this next week. We'd love to hear from you and anything you want to say about the show, whether it be something written, whether it be something audio recorded, whether it be a video, please send it to us at Hyperion Adventures Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, we really want you to be a part of this show. You're why we do this show, and we know we have such fantastic listeners. So hope you take a moment to participate in this fun show that's coming up.
Yeah, our 4-year anniversary show, which is coming up next week. And if you'd like to kind of help this show in a monetary way, help support the show, help kind of curb some of the costs that we have of putting this show out every week, and want to get some cool swag out of it, well, there are a couple ways you can do that. One is to go to our Spreadshirt shop where we have all sorts of items, including, of course, shirts, but hats, mugs, water bottles, all sorts of stuff in various different logos, various different styles, various different sizes, various different colors. If you want to find us there, just go to Spreadshirt.com. Do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast and we'll come up that way. You can also go to any of our social media accounts, find our link tree there, and there's a link straight to that site as well.
Yeah, and I like how you can kind of customize some things, like you can put the logo somewhat in a different place depending on how you like it laid out on your shirt if you're doing one of the shirts.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that. That's very interesting. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Awesome. You can also join as some of our Patreon members, who we appreciate all of our Patreon members, but that's a great way to kind of get involved with the show, and you get some great swag just by signing up for that. And we have some things coming up here in the very near future that we want our Patreon members to be involved with. And we have tiers starting as low as $2, and you just need to go to patreon.com/Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit whichever tier you like, whatever fits you. And we appreciate, again, all those who have already signed up and joined.
Yeah, it really is such an honor to have you as part of our family, and for you to be helping us with this is so special. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so very much. Thanks to all our Hyperion Adventurers, all the newsletter subscribers, all of the Patreon members, everybody out there. It doesn't matter if you've interacted in the show, whether you just listen to the show. We love you all and we appreciate you all, and we can't wait to, share some fun with you again for next week's 4-year anniversary of this show.
Ooh.
So
we also want to take a moment to say happy Memorial Day weekend to all of you. We hope you all are having an enjoyable time with your family or friends, or staying safe and healthy. And thank you to all of you who have provided outstanding service to our country.
Yes, thanks for what this holiday is really about,
Exactly.
for those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, so we can enjoy this weekend off and have the barbecues and meet with friends and go to the Disney parks or whatever you may have planned. Thank you so very much. So now today's show is, as we mentioned, is going to be a little bit different from our normal shows. We're not going to have my favorite thing from this week, because it would actually be my favorite thing from last week, because it's a whole Back to the Future thing going on here because we're recording this in the past. We're also not going to have Disney stories of the week because we don't know what the Disney stories are going to be this week.
Make them up.
Yeah, we can make things up, but we don't do that on this show. We try and be as factually accurate as we possibly can, which isn't always factually accurate, but we try to be. We try to be. And we're also going to go back, since we just haven't had a lot of time this week, to bring you a show from the past. And we think it's going to be one that you're really going to enjoy. Now, we will have a tip for you at the end of this episode, because we want to bring a tip to you every single week that we possibly can. So we will have that for you. But we are about to go back into the past from a pre-pandemic time when we had no idea what was going to happen to the world over the last couple of years, back to January of 2020, and go to an episode that has been one of your favorites out there. It's got a lot of downloads, a lot of listens. It's a music episode, which we think you'll enjoy. It kind of works with Memorial Day. It's inspirational. It is our 5 favorite inspirational Disney songs. So we're going to take a look back again. This is back from January of 2020. Let's get to our main topic of the week, and we just kind of hinted at it a little bit. Yes, it is Martin Luther King Jr., the holiday weekend, celebrating the greatness that is Martin Luther King Jr., such an inspirational person, obviously fighting for civil rights, but just in general, just an amazing icon that left us far too soon, unfortunately assassinated, but just a fantastic person that inspires us every single day.
Right. I mean, it's inspiring to see somebody who, at quite a young age still, was able to impart so much to last through our history and of our country, and that's awesome, and it inspires us.
Right. We are inspired by him, and I know this is a little bit of a stretch on what we're going to use for inspire, but
he inspired us for the show.
We decided that we were inspired by him, just as Michelle said there, to go back and do our 5 favorite list, and we also wanted to bring in some music again, because you seem to love our musical episodes.
As do we.
Yes, do we.
It's fun.
So we decided to go ahead and go for our 5 favorite inspirational Disney songs, right?
Yeah.
Martin Luther King Jr., inspirational Disney songs. It works, right?
Connect the dots, yes.
It's a long way from A to Z there, connecting the dots, but it works for us. So we're going to give you our 5 favorite Disney inspirational songs, as well as some of that you have sent in to us. And, we always tend to cheat a little bit on this as well. So we'll give our 5 favorites, but I'm sure at the end there'll be a couple more that we'll just kind of mention as honorable mention. To try to pretty much play every song that Disney ever put out. But we always start these things whenever we do our 5 favorites with Michelle, because one, her lists are always awesome. My list will be pretty humdrum. It'll be pretty much what you expect. But Michelle's list will be amazing. Just when you think she's going left, she'll go right, whatever the case may be. So let's start right with Michelle and her 5th favorite inspirational Disney song.
Okay, so before I even announce it, one of the things that, if you do listen to our podcast regularly, you probably have picked up that we don't share our information throughout the week. So, but with this one, and we didn't, I just have a sense that we probably have a fair amount of duplication. So it'll be interesting to see.
Wouldn't shock me if there's at least 2 or 3 songs on our list that we match up at some point. Yeah.
So, but for my number 5 is Try Everything from Zootopia.
I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I could fail. I'll keep on making those new mistakes. I'll keep on making them every day. Those new mistakes. Try everything. Try everything. Try everything. Try everything.
Love that choice. It is on my list. I'm not going to tell you where at this point,
All
but
right.
it is on my list.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love this song for my running. It's in my, training repertoire. Obviously it's upbeat. If you're listening to this podcast in the car and you didn't feel like you needed to bop or anything to it, I don't know. But, it has the right lyrics to keep you going. And, I'm going to say this. It's going to sound like I'm trying to be boastful. I'm not. But I love in the movie when Judy Hopps says, I don't know when to quit. And I feel like that a lot of times, not in a smart way, just more like a stubborn persistence, I guess. But anyways, I also think the song can help remind you that, it's good to go out of your comfort zone from time to time and try something new, whether it's food or it's a hobby or it's an activity. Sometimes just setting a goal for yourself to say, okay, for the next 30 days, I'm going to do something every single day, whether it's, making journal entries or taking photographs or whatever, but kind of get out of your norm, out of your comfort zone and try something.
Love it. I'll get into my reasons why this
All
is on
right.
my list when we get to that number on my list. It's not number 5. It's higher than that on my list. I'll tell you that right now. But I love your reasoning behind it. But
All right.
I'll discuss more of my feeling on it
Sure.
as we progress on through the show.
So I'm looking forward to your number 5.
Ooh, my number 5. Well, as we all know, hashtag real men love Frozen.
Show yourself, step into your power, grow yourself into something new. You are the one you've been waiting for. Show
Why was it not surprising?
I know no one should be shocked by this, although this wasn't on my list originally. And then as I was getting songs together for this, it jumped into the list ahead of some other songs that I had as possibilities there. But, the interesting thing about this, one, the music for Frozen 2, the more I listen to it, the more I love it. It's so good. This song in particular, I know Into the Unknown has obviously it's gotten nominated for all the awards.
Right.
It's nominated for an Academy Award, as a matter of fact. But I feel that this song is much more important. While Into the Unknown is great, and I love Into the Unknown as well, and it's a little more catchy.
Right.
This song I think has more meaning. It's more important. Right. It's Elsa saying, look, I'm putting myself out there. You have to put yourself out
Right.
there. Show yourself. This is who I am. I think it's a fantastic song. It's strong throughout it, and go back and listen to it. Listen to the lyrics. There's more into it. I try and cut these to around 40 seconds or so. Some of these edits of music to get the most
Right.
impact out of them without stretching this episode into a 2-hour episode. But go back, listen to it. It's a powerful song. It's a wonderful song, and it comes at a hugely important time in the film.
Right. And it is a great message, learn to be comfortable in your skin and, share that with people and they'll love you and appreciate you for it.
It basically completes Elsa's journey through the 2 films and the shorts that we have seen,
Right.
No
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but I'm just telling you that's
The meaning of the
right.
song.
And the funny thing about it is that they told us at D23 there were going to be 2 big Elsa numbers within the movie.
Right.
When we heard all of Into the Unknown,
Right.
Because there wasn't really tremendous spoilers involved with that, but they're like, we can't share this one with you yet
Right.
because it's hugely spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen Frozen 2 yet and you don't want spoilers for the end of the film, wait and listen to it till after you've seen the film. Otherwise, if you've already seen it or if you don't care, just go out and listen to it. It is a strong, strong song.
Right.
Right. So that's my number 5 most inspirational Disney song. Now we're to number 4. Michelle, what is your number 4 most inspirational Disney song?
Okay. And don't laugh.
I will not laugh. Well, I can't promise that. I might laugh a little bit.
Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.
Love the bare necessities. Why is that one of your most inspirational? It's interesting because everybody takes the term inspirational in different ways. And I've looked at as some of our listeners have sent things in and,
Right.
They see things differently. I didn't necessarily get inspired by the bare necessities, but I want to know why you thought of it was.
All right. Well, when thinking of this episode and the songs and everything, it dawned on me that sometimes we really look for big things and big plans to make us happy, and we forget that life is filled with those non-essential, simple things that can equally bring us joy. And, I had already made this decision and started preparing this before yesterday because I'm not always last minute. But anyways, I did see yesterday there was a tweet from one of our followers that we also follow. And I apologize if I'm going to say his name wrong. Nick Salcedo. Okay, thank you. He's at TTA_team_lead. And he put out there a picture of an early sunrise time on Bay Lake. And his tweet said, "One of my favorite things to do while in Walt Disney World is sit out on the balcony." I'm getting choked up. Yeah, and watch the sunrise, drinking a cup of coffee. Such a relaxing way to start the day before chaos ensues in the park. And how true is that? And we've done that. We've had that same view from Bay Lake Tower in the morning and enjoyed that moment of serenity and saying, wow, we're in such a special place and we're going to have fun. And even if you're not staying at that resort, you're staying at any resort, taking the moment to watch your kids getting dressed and see the excitement in their faces as they're getting ready, and it's in that moment that's the pure, simple pleasure that can fill you with joy. And so that's the message I get from this song. And for those of you who love Disney, Star Wars, and the parks, there are so many fabulous experiences that are, going to fill you with happiness and fun. But like Nick says, before that chaos starts, take a moment and really enjoy that moment. Or like with my other saying, look up. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that whole phenomenon. And taking that time to really appreciate it. And for me, this really started coming to my being when Scott was born and told he had Down syndrome. And what I thought was going to bring happiness and joy in the path that his life and our life would take was all of a sudden jumbled up. Mm-hmm. And okay, remake, start over, reboot, and getting to be with him has really taught me to appreciate that although life doesn't always present you with the path that you're expecting or striving, it still can be filled with joy. And a lot of times it's those minor or smaller things in life that can bring that joy. So that's how I found inspiration.
Excellent.
It regrounds me in the life.
That's well explained, and now I totally understand why
thank you.
Bare Necessities is on your list. Like I had a
Sorry,
problem with it to
long-winded
begin with,
there.
but no, that's perfectly well said, and I totally get it, and that's great. And by the way, Nick Salcedo, who you were mentioning, is also one of the people who sent us his list as well, so we'll be going over that later. Nick, great friend out there on Twitter. We have great conversations and fun with him out there as well, and he's part of the Monorail family, like a subset of the Monorail family. Is like a Monorail cousin.
Fingers
the
in
Monday
the air.
Morning Monorail podcast, who we again great friends of ours.
Yes.
So that's great. That's Michelle's number 4. My number 4 comes from a movie that you may not really think of right off the bat, but I think it has some of the best music, if not the very best music, of virtually any film within the Disney oeuvre, and that is The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Out there, strolling by the sand, taste the morning out there, like ordinary men who freely walk about there. Just one day, and then I swear I'll be content.
So yes, that is Out There from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And the one thing I love about that song, the music from that film is just so very good. But the one thing I really love about that song is it talks about, look, it's tough, and especially someone like Quasimodo, who, has been up there in the bell tower for so long, afraid to go out, keep telling he's a monster, or, whatever the case may be. And sometimes, while that's an extreme version of that, we all go through a little bit of that as far as, whether it's, not necessarily just going out into the street, but putting yourself out there into these various situations. And it's tough to convince yourself, like, putting yourself out there when you're scared to do it, like what are people going to say about me? What are people going to do? How are people going to react to me or whatever? But it's important to get yourself out there and do that. We've done that with this podcast. It was not an easy thing to decide to finally do. Put ourselves out there week in and week out. Is anybody ever going to listen? People care what we have to say. And thankfully, you guys do. We really appreciate that. And I just appreciate that song and the feeling behind it of, get yourself out there every once in a while. Even if you're a little afraid to do it, put yourself out there. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at what the results might be.
Totally agree with that. And it was a little hard leaving that one off my list because it definitely was one that I was considering. It would be in my honorable mentions. And you're absolutely right. It's, inspiring, going against what you feel are the odds or the barriers for putting yourself out there. And you're totally right on a personal level, how this podcast was a scary journey to start even. And so
not even start every single episode. We're like, is this the right topic? Are we going to get this out there? Or how are people going to like this topic? Are we just boring people or, whatever. Every single week, it's another one of like, we have to put ourselves out there.
It's true.
So we kind of go through it every single week. So that's my number 4 inspirational Disney song. Let's get to our number 3. Michelle, what is your third favorite inspirational Disney song?
Okay. My third favorite is Go to the Distance from Hercules.
I am on my way. I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong. I know every mile will be worth my while. I would go most anywhere to find where I belong.
actually, you picked the exact cut of the song that I was actually.
Once
I'm
in a
going to
while I get it
quell.
right.
I
Once in a
know.
while I get it right.
And again, bringing tears to my eyes. It's so funny because you're the one that really is the crier in the family, and when we do these episodes,
Except for the Disney songs that made us cry. I think we were both like a mess during that whole
that's true.
episode when we
That's
recorded
true.
that one.
And this one, it's funny because I don't want to say shallow. It may not be the deepest reason why I find this inspirational. It kind of, again, goes to the background of, running. And I know I've shared this story before, so I apologize for those of you who've heard it in the past, and I'll try to keep it more brief that, with the running theme, when I did our first 5K, which was a Run Disney event, and I didn't feel like I had really prepped for it anyways. I know I hadn't. And there was a funny story how we ended up starting late. We weren't sure we were going to be on the course and everything, but it did work out. And we were getting kind of close to the end, and I was starting to really feel out of energy and just feeling, I'm just, gosh, is this really fun? And then this song played in my earbuds, and I just couldn't help but grin and then really start paying more attention to the words than my running, and really appreciated how important they were at that moment.
Well, wasn't that near at the finish line?
Yeah, it was near the. It was. I could see the finish line coming. It was kind of a little ways in the distance because it wasn't just like a straight run. There was kind of a run, but I knew I was getting close. And where it says like what you played. I'm on my way. I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong and edit that out.
Not a chance.
So it really did help, one, add fun again to the event at hand. It gave me a little bit more spark, a little bit more energy to, push myself a little bit more to get there, and even in the song where it talks about, when I get there, the crowds will be cheering. And I know not cheering for me specifically, but when you get to the finish line of a Run Disney event, there are so many people who are out there cheering everybody on. So it was just a fun way to experience that song. And ever since then, when I hear it, I've actually taken it off my training list, so I save it just for when we're on actual Run Disney events. And thank you, Alan Menken. That's all I can say, because that is a great song and it touches my heart.
Yeah, and it would have been on my list. It's an extremely inspirational song. It's an extremely inspirational song for me, but I knew, because I know the story, I knew it was going to be on your list. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, it's going to play anyway. I can kind of move it, but it could have been anywhere on this list, up to possibly number one for me. But I just wanted to free up some more songs. So I'm like, okay, Michelle's going to have this. I will let her go ahead. When not looking at her list, I just assumed, because I knew the story, I knew how much this song impacted you. But it's a wonderful song about finishing things out. I can do this, and reminding yourself that you can do these things.
Right.
It's an extremely inspirational song. It really a great
Yeah.
choice.
Well, thank
As
you.
I said, Michelle's list, always the best.
Recycling that story, but
Right.
anyways, what's your number 3, honey?
My number 3, well, as we all know, # Real Men Love Frozen.
I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. When I rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. That perfect girl is gone. Here I stand in my light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Now, I know that doesn't shock you.
No, it doesn't. What shocks me is that I didn't think about having my phone ready, because that would have been an awesome video.
At some point, we are going to put this show. We have plans to get this show on our YouTube channel, which we've sorely neglected, and we're going to be streaming it. We're not there yet, but probably thankfully fully, because I don't know, maybe you would have enjoyed it, or you would have watched it horror as I go
No,
through
not
that song
horror.
every time. But I love Let It Go so very much. It's such an amazing song. But it's, more importantly, it's a really inspirational song in the fact that, look, Elsa is putting her past behind her, moving forward, stepping out into the light, essentially, and saying, look, here I am.
Right.
Look at me. Forget what was back there. This is me right now. And I think that's very important for a lot of people. Forget the past, pushing through troubling times and moving forward, moving out into the light, getting yourself out there. A lot of these are going to be about getting yourself out there. Apparently I have trouble getting myself out there, and I need inspiration to do that. But also, the one thing about this song is that it is just an anthem. It is
Right.
it is a wonderful song for, yes, of course, young women, but I think everybody in general to listen to, stand up and say, yes, this is me. I'm going to let it go and I'm going to move forward.
Right. I mean, and for some people, like, it could be that, you feel that you've had some failures in the past, or you've made mistakes, or you've had regrets. And this can be kind of like that anthem, as you're saying, to, what? That's in the past. I can't change it. I'm going to move forward and make things better.
Right. And that's kind of the way I feel about that song. And it inspires me for, many reasons that I just talked about. Also, it inspires me, as Michelle just mentioned, to get out and sing it or lip sync it every single time. Now, you don't want to actually...
And there's some dancing going on, folks. There is dancing going on.
You don't want to actually hear me really sing it. But you may want to witness me at some point lip sync this song, because it is fun. I have a great time with it. So that's my number 3. Let's get to our number 2 favorite inspirational Disney songs. Michelle, what is your number 2?
Okay, and so it's actually been a while since I've done this, but I have a 2A and B.
Oh, here we go. I told you I didn't get to go with the show that this was going to happen at some point.
But it's not like, I'm not going to do it like because one means one thing and one means the other. They kind of go together, and I couldn't separate them. They're both from Princess and the Frog. So we'll say 2A is Dig a Little Deeper. All right, and 2B is Almost There.
There's been trials and tribulations. I've had my share. But I've climbed a mountain, I've crossed a river, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost
Okay, so as I mentioned, both songs are kind of tied together in my little brain, that they have similar meanings about...
It's a little body. It's a giant brain. It's a little body.
But, from what I glean from it is, reflecting on inner strength and being inspired not to see barriers and push beyond challenges that you're faced with. And here's why. When I wanted to go to college, my parents had zero Zippo money to help contribute. And I had to come to the realization that I couldn't let that be the reason for me not to go. I just really wanted to go to college. So I looked at it, different ways, between actually getting a full-time job when I was in my senior year of high school, saving every penny, applying for grants and loans. And lo and behold, somehow I made it. And so that's why I really liked the lyrics from Dig a Little Deeper. It's like where you got to dig a little deeper, find out who you are, dig a little deeper. really ain't that far,
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do, you have that strength inside of you. And then I had, when I was in college, some of you also know the story that I did get pregnant. I had to make a hard decision, knowing that I couldn't support a child on my own, giving my daughter up for adoption. And, I made it through that. And in the long run, as you know, it's been an amazing blessing because we have reunited. And after we did reunite, she got married. She now has kids, and we're all a big happy family. And so, again, going with the lyrics from Almost There, there's been trials and tribulations. I've had my share, but I've climbed a mountain, I've crossed a river, and I'm almost there.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, folks.
No, perfectly understandable.
And so, kind of like, again, to summarize, you do have strength inside yourself. Give yourself that credit. And it won't be easy, and you may find other challenges coming at you. Persevere and look back at what you've accomplished and realize from there, it reaffirms to you, you do have that strength. And so whenever you're feeling weak or low, think back and realize, hey, this is tough, but some things can eventually become amazing in the end.
Yeah, agreed. And all great reasons. But one, those are great songs. But
Yes.
two, great reasons for them to being inspirational for you. And by the way, if you haven't heard Michelle's story with her daughter, we do have an episode that goes back to, I think we played it in June of 2019. Look it up. It's a very special Hyperion Adventures podcast where we actually have Michelle's daughter on them together discussing the story of how it
Right.
all happened and everything. But it is an amazing story, and
Thank you.
I think it will touch your heart if you haven't heard it already. So, but great. Those are great choices for both reasons that you're talking about, both you having to struggle to get through college and to put yourself where you are now. And then, of course, obviously the situation with your daughter, which is just a phenomenal story. So nice
Thank
choice.
you.
Michelle's choice.
Thank
Always
you.
the best, of course.
All right, you're number 2.
My number 2 comes from one of my favorite recent Disney movies, and that's from Moana. And it might not be, you probably have a song right off the bat that you think I'm going to go for. However, it's not that song. It's not How Far I'll Go. The song that actually inspires me more is I Am Moana, which is also called, it's parentheses, Song of the Ancestors, easy for me to say. And the reason for this is there is a lot of reminding Moana of who she is. If you don't know, again, this is spoilers for Moana. So the movie's been out for a while. I'm sorry, but this is going to be, she's basically at her lowest point in her journey. She's really about to give up on this thing. And then her grandmother appears basically out of the dead, like a blue, it's like a Force ghost.
Yes.
It's like a blue glowy, as our good friend Rob LeBerry from the Jedi Temple Archives podcast likes to mention, and talks to her and reminds her, "Hey, Moana, remember who you are." And then this is what ensues.
I am a girl who loves my island and the girl who loves the sea. It calls me. I am the daughter of the village chief. We are descended from voyagers who found their way across the world. And they call me. I've delivered us to where we are. I have journeyed farther. I am everything I've learned and more. Still it calls me. And the call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. It's like the tide, always falling and rising. I will carry you here in my heart. You remind me that come what may,
Now, the reason why I picked this song so much is because I think that this is important for every single one of us at some point in your life, and could be on a weekly, monthly basis or whatever. Sometimes you need to remember who you are.
Right.
You know, sometimes you need to step back and have your I am Moana moment.
Right.
Like, look, I'm feeling down, miserable about myself, miserable about the way things are going in my life, whatever. And then just sit there for a second and go back and say, I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. You know what? I am, say your name and remind yourself exactly who you are. I think this is such obviously it's a huge moment in this film, but it's just a huge moment. And I think that if more of us at times would take a step back and remember who we are, I think it would be hugely inspirational, and it would be big moments for all of us.
Right, absolutely. And you know how this song plays it out, it really does like what you're describing. You know, it starts very soft, almost quiet like thinking, and you know, and it builds and it builds and it builds till you come to the realization that yes, you have inside of you so much to offer.
Right. It goes through, I think it's like 5 chord changes in there as Moana is thinking this through, you know, from her lowest moment, building herself up, building herself up until she finally hits that crescendo where she's, I am Moana. It's just, hey, at Lin-Manuel Miranda. If you ever want to come on the show and talk about that song or anything you've done, we're happy to have you on. But another one of his great songs that he's put together, just a great moment in a great movie. And again, more importantly to me, I just think it's something that we all need to do from time to time.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. It definitely captures that inspiration that you can bring yourself up from a low point.
Mm-hmm. So that is my number 2 favorite inspirational Disney song. We're up to number 1. Michelle, the big moment is here. What is Michelle's number 1 favorite inspirational Disney song?
Again, another one. Don't laugh. When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio.
Like a moon out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
So, it's a song that just reminds me of hope, you know, and I know that sounds corny, but I remember even as a kid loving this song, and even when I was, you know, feeling kind of low or sad, thinking about the song, or at night actually wishing on stars, still do it, you know, and hope is a powerful thing. So if you can get back on your feet and try again, that's what this is to me. I see the inspiration. Have that hope that, you know, things can get better.
Yeah, I love it. It's just probably the most classic Disney song there is.
Very iconic.
Yes. But it's extremely inspirational, and hope is a great word for it. What backs it. It's great to have hope, and I feel that song is filled with hope of, you know, of course you're wishing upon the star, hoping that something will happen.
Right.
I find that that's in some ways very, you know, very comforting, you know, and I love it. It's a great choice.
Oh, thank you, honey. Appreciate that. And now your number 1 inspirational Disney song.
Well, let's see here. I mentioned a song that might have been on my list that, you know, I was going to talk about it later. However, Michelle already did it. Yeah, Michelle's number 5 most favorite inspirational Disney song is actually my number 1, and that is Try Everything from Zootopia. I just love that song.
Yes.
I'm not going to play it again for
Aww.
you. Yeah, sorry. You can go back up the podcast and listen to it again if you want to. But look, that movie is great. I love that movie so much. There's so much depth to that movie. You can look at that film at so many different levels. You know, it's a buddy cop movie. There's so many things that are important to our society now in general, about people, you know, appreciating other people and getting along with other people that maybe aren't necessarily just like you. There's just so much. Plus, you know, animals in pants. I mean, who doesn't love animals in pants? But the other interesting thing about that song is that most of these songs that we've listed so far come from movies that are musicals. That is not a musical. That is about the only song outside of the credits.
Right.
Yes, there's some background score, of
Sure.
course, but the really only song that plays within the entire movie. But the more important thing is if you just listen to the lyrics, and yes, it's got a great dance beat and all that. It's catchy, whatever the case may be. But I won't give up. I won't give in.
Right.
Sometimes we fail, but we did our best. You go out there, try things, try everything. Sometimes it won't succeed, but if you can pick yourself up and get going again, try it again, try the next thing again. Don't let it bring you down. It's important to everybody's life. And we all face hurdles in our life. We all face troubles in our life, but it's how we pick ourselves back up and go forward, whether it be to do that same thing again or try something different, whatever the case may be. It's really important. And that is what that song is throughout it. The lyrics of it throughout it are all about picking yourself up and keep trying, even if it's scary, even if you have struggles with it, finding your way to battle through it. That's why it is my number one inspirational Disney song.
Yeah, and I totally can understand where it being a number one. It is fabulous as an inspirational song. It does give you that, like you said, in the lyrics, that reassurance of getting back up, going back, a bird getting up and reflying and things like that. And I do think it's an important song in that regards because, it, again, like you mentioned with Frozen, it could be kind of like an anthem as well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So those are our lists for our 5 favorite
Good job,
inspirational
baby.
Disney songs. A good job by you. You had some wonderful picks in there, and I love them all. We had some listeners that came in with some picks as well. We'll start with Doug, who does subscribe to our newsletter. So he got in first because he emailed us right off the newsletter where we put it out a request for 5 inspirational Disney songs. He came right in and he agrees with the show. When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio is number 5 for him. 4 is Some Things Never Change from Frozen 2. # Real Men Love Frozen. Number 3 is an interesting choice, but I'm kind of inspired by it often when it plays.
Some imagination, huh?
That, of course,
Love
is
it.
the theme from Fantasmic. And I find it funny because part of my inspiration that I get from this song is that whenever the big moments hit, I point my fingers in the air. I just watch Michelle do the exact same thing. It inspires her to do the same thing. The fingers go flying in the air. It's great. Again,
If you're driving, do not lift your hands off the
in one
wheel.
hand. So that's great. Love it. Number 2 for him was Almost There from Princess and the Frog.
Nice.
Again, agreeing with Michelle. And number 1 was Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. The I Want song
Right.
from The Little Mermaid. And just a gorgeous, beautiful song that I love so much. So thank you, Doug. We also got it chimed in from John on Instagram, who you can find at Vinyl and Disney on Instagram. And it didn't shock me that he'd be second in because if you follow him on Instagram, which you should because he has great posts all the time. But one of the most important things he posts all the time is all these new albums he's got. That's why he's Vinyl and
very
Disney.
very into music.
And so it didn't surprise me that he'd be right in chiming in with music. And he says, I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. I think that's a great choice as
it was
well.
on my honorable mentions list.
Go the Distance from Hercules again. Almost There from Princess and the Frog. Very popular choice so far. Here's one out of Tangled that I just love to death and almost made my list.
He's got a dream, he's got a dream, they got a dream, we've got a dream. So our differences ain't really that extreme. We're all mixing. Call us brutal, sadistic, and grotesquely optimistic. 'Cause way down deep inside we've got a dream. I've got a dream. I've got a dream. I've got a dream.
That was pushed out by Show Yourself. It was
Right.
on my list for a second, and I got pushed off at the end because I just love the fact that everybody, we all have dreams,
Right.
And look, they're worth chasing. We all have them.
That's
Go out
right.
and follow. You try and get your dream, and I love that, and it's just a fun song.
Yeah,
too.
definitely. So good choice.
Great choice. And then also he put down How Far I'll Go from Moana, which is obviously a great choice.
Yes.
And I'm surprised it didn't make either of our lists, but
Right.
makes sense. Jocelyn, who you can find on Twitter at Disney Gratitude 1, said number 1 through 5, go the distance, which I totally get.
Definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
Totally relate to that. Great choice. Nate and Serena, who you can find on Twitter at DVC Duo, said in no particular order, try everything from Zootopia, Circle of Life from Lion
Nice.
King, Out There from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, When You Wish Upon a Star, Pinocchio, Two Worlds, One Family from Tarzan.
Nice,
and
yes.
they basically said, we're always up for some Phil Collins. So, there you go.
I get it.
At Disney Details, who you can find on Twitter at Disney Details, says, well, basically everything from Moana on repeat. So I think that's a good time for us to go ahead and play this song.
Alive with the sky, it's a sea. It calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind is my sail and the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know how far I'll go.
Another fantastic song
Yes.
from Moana, and definitely a very inspirational song. I mean, I'm like,
Concur.
no one knows how far I'll go.
Right.
You know,
That you
and-
just
yeah,
keep at it.
totally makes sense. And I agree. The music from Moana is so good. And there's many inspirational songs depending on what you're looking for on a day-to-day basis, as far as being a voyager, whether, staying home actually is everything you need is right at home. I know that was counterintuitive to what Moana was trying to do in the film, but it's also very important for some people
Sure.
to know, like, we have everything you need on our island, at your home, whatever
Right.
the case may be. So many great songs. Disney Details also wanted to put out there the first song from Brave, which I believe is this one.
Where dark woods hide secrets and mountains are fierce and bold, deep waters hold reflections of times lost long ago. I will hear every story, take hold of my own dream, be as strong as the seas are stormy, and proud as an eagle's scream. I will ride, I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky.
Yeah, so Touch the Sky, I
Right.
believe is the song they're referring to here. And that's a fantastic.
Yes.
I think the music in Brave is extremely underrated. It's
Oh
got
my
that
gosh, it's
wonderful
fabulous.
Scottish feel to it.
Right.
But it's really excellent music. And I know you love it for sure.
I love it. There's a lot of variation in it. It's not all the same type of song. But yeah, and that song was just eked out of my list as well. So
right.
it's a great choice. It's an awesome song.
Definitely. Great choice. Thank you at Disney Details. Finally, from Nick Salceda, who we talked about a little bit earlier, who's on Twitter at TTA_team_lead. He said, oh, this one, I love this one because this actually, it inspires me every single time we get to go see this out at the Walt Disney World Resort.
And so our journey comes to an end, but yours continues on. Grab hold of your dreams and make them come true. For you are the key to unlocking your own magic. Now go, let your dreams guide you. Reach out and find your happily ever after.
The battles, the stories, the losses, and all the glory.
We're changed by the way we live every day. Just look up and reach to the sky. We all have the courage to fly.
You can fly. You can fly. You can
I love Happily Ever After so
Exactly.
much. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's because we saw it like literally days, like just a couple days after it first debuted, and we got to see Jordan Fisher and I'm going to blank on her name, Angie Kielhauer, I believe is her name, come out and perform it for us after the
stage,
show or whatever. But there's just so much behind Happily Ever After as far, reach out and find your happily ever after. All the different portions within it are very inspiring in many different ways. They're inspiring songs, including Go the Distance for that matter. But that's it. It's like, hey, find out what your happily ever after is and go out for it and get it. And that show, I think this was on the Disney Songs That Make Us Cry, because that makes me cry every single time I go see it. I'm very inspired by it. Nick says, Happily Ever After brings me to tears while holding my girls every time. I know, right? All right, now it's my turn. Damn it. Now it's my turn. Me too. I love it so very much. And I know a lot of people miss Wishes out there, and I totally understand that. There's just something about Happily Ever After. And like I said, maybe it's just when we saw it.
Right. I don't know. It's a great song. I think we would have loved it regardless, because we weren't expecting that. It was a special surprise that happened, but I think we were already enthralled with that song from the get-go. Right. So great choice. He also went on to say Almost There from Princess and the Frog, Into the Unknown, and Let It from Frozen 2, and Let It Go from Frozen. #Real Man Love Frozen. All really great songs. So those are the ones from our listeners. We have some honorable mentions as well. Michelle, do you have any left on your list? I don't know. I think we might have mentioned this. I'll Make a Man Out of You from Milan, but also Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes from Cinderella.
Interesting choice. Yeah, I love that one. That's a good choice. Well, how about On My Way from Brother Bear? I mean, I'm not a huge Brother Bear as far as the film fan, but that song is a great song.
Definitely.
I'm On My Way. One of our favorite movies out of the 90s has got to be the Goofy movie. And I think this is kind of a great inspirational song.
All I need is half a chance on second thought, a second glass of brew. I got whatever it takes. It's a piece of cake. To stand out above the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud. Tomorrow is the only face you'll see. Gonna stand out, hey, stand out, yeah. Stand out. Tomorrow is the only face you'll see. Gonna stand out. So you notice me.
That one, it was. I don't know why I didn't put it as an honorable mention, because it was one that I was thinking about too. It is a great song. It is an inspirational song, so it hits all the boxes of this episode. So love it.
Stand out. Go out there and stand out above the crowd, even if you have to
risk.
shout out loud. So you notice me.
Right. Well, even in that,
afraid.
and then
don't be afraid.
That's right. And in that movie, I mean, that's what he was. He was taking a risk of trying to capture the attention of somebody he was interested in, and it was a risky deal. And plus, not to mention risky to do something like that at school.
That's another thing. But, really great. I also put down I See the Light from Tangled. I think that's fun. And Now I See the Light. I think it's just a wonderful, touching song, but also it's a beautiful song. But I think it's very inspirational. How about You Can Fly from Peter Pan?
True.
Think of the happiest things. It's the same as having wings. You can fly. You can fly. You can fly. I mean, I think that's a very inspirational.
Very,
song.
very true.
So that's it. That's all my honorable mentions. Nothing else. That's our list of our favorite inspirational Disney songs. Again, we'd love to know what yours are. If you didn't chime in before this point, but still want to, let us know, we will share them on a future show. So email us, hit us up on social media, whatever the case may be.
Right. And if you have a special story with it, let us know that too. Because, that's what also makes these songs touch us, is because of our personal experiences.
Absolutely. So thanks to everybody who chimed in. And I think we had some fun lists, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more from those of you out there who have not chimed in.
Yeah.
So so fun looking back at some of those episodes. I mean, it's hard to believe it's been a couple years since that episode, came out. And again, the world has changed so much since then in so many different ways. But still, we can all use a little inspiration from time to time. And those songs definitely inspire us.
Oh, most for sure. I was going to say definitely, but you just said definitely 3 times. And I think it's, something we can look forward to doing again in the future, because since that time, there's been some really great inspirational songs that have been released.
Yeah, we will. Occasionally, we revisit some of these episodes as doing a brand new list, because as we know, our lists always change like 5 minutes after we actually release them. So I'm sure if we were to do that episode again, which we will in the future, it will be something with not maybe a completely different list, but a different list going through there. Plus, there's been new songs and everything that might inspire us more since then. So, as we mentioned, this is a bit different show, so we won't have Disney Stories of the Week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And when we do this, we always start with Michelle because, well, she does the best research. You just heard she has the best lists, and she definitely has the best tips. So let's get to it. Here is Michelle's tip of the week.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Well, if you find yourself faced with some last minute travel plan changes, like possibly needing to cancel something, research what options you might have for that resort or cruise reservation, because you don't want to be hit with cancellation fees if you don't have to. Now, in most reservations, there are a few exceptions that they have. They do have different cancellation policies, and they have tried to make them a little bit more liberal since pre-pandemic times. So it's best to take a look and see what possible cancellation situations you might have with that reservation, and it may mean a full refund for you and nothing to worry, or it could be that you might be incurring some fees. Another thing to take a look at to see is, can you just reschedule that? So if you have a potential next date in mind, a lot of times you can just transfer that same reservation and the money's paid for it to a new reservation. Now, it may be that at the time that you're picking to reserve is a higher cost time of year, for example, and might have a little bit more cost to you. But again, it might still save you money in the long run from either, a partial or total cancellation fee. So the best bet is to really just research, what you have available to make those changes to see if you can either cancel without a fee or make a modification for a future date.
Very good. Michelle's tip. Always the best tip. And yeah, cancellation is a big deal, especially now within, COVID is still going on.
Right.
As much as a lot of the restrictions aren't out there anymore, but it is still out there, and people get sick. People get around it. People just don't want to be a part of it. And there's various reasons, not just COVID, why you might need to cancel a reservation very near the date. So know your options and know what you can do and how to best use it so you don't lose out on the money and you don't lose out on a future fun vacation trip, dinner, whatever it may be.
Right.
So very good. Michelle's tip, always the best tip.
You.
My tip, I've been very busy. I'm getting ready to drive across country. I'm just going to go back to an old standby of mine. That's, it's getting hot out there again. We're hitting the summer and it's hot in Florida most of the time. I'm getting very prepared for that. Hydrate. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just go ahead and be sure to do it. It'll help you in so many ways through life, but definitely when you're in the parks. Be sure and pick up those free cups of water that come when you go pick up. You don't even need to actually order a meal at any of the quick service places. You can just go up there as long as they have fountain drinks and just ask, I'd like a cup of water, ice water. Pick those up whenever you have the availability. Bring bottles with you to fill up water when you're at the parks, preferably something that is reusable out there, but whatever. Just make sure you have as much water, whatever, whether it's sports drinks, Gatorade, Powerade, etc. Just make sure you're as hydrated as possible, because believe me, it'll help you get through these tough, hot days that much easier.
Right. I mean, you may even want to consider either a hydration reminder app or just putting some reminder prompts on your phone to remind you to drink some water, especially if you are there with kids, because it's one of those things you get so involved in the activities, or, and when you're with the kids, whether it's with meet and greets or attractions, and you don't necessarily remember to drink or take a drink, and you might have gone a long time without it, and it really can wear you out definitely can wear the kids out, and you want them to have the best time possible, and for yourself as well. So prompts are also something that can really help you.
Right. And also might even be at a time where, one, you get caught up in what you're doing, like you were mentioning during the day, doing
Right.
various different activities, attractions, meet and greets, whatever, shows, whatever it may be. But also, like, maybe it's a little cooler early in the day, so maybe you're not as hot and you're not thinking about that cool drink of water in
Right.
the middle of the day. Well, it'll start to catch up to you if you aren't hydrating early on during the day. It'll catch up to you later, and then you also have to play catch up with your hydration later on.
Exactly.
So it's good to have that reminder. It's a good point, Michelle. Michelle, even more tips on top of my tips.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, that's good. To help you again, so you're not in the situation later on in the day where you're desperately trying to catch up on that hydration need that you have. So thank you so much, sweetheart. And
Oh, thanks. babe.
yes. So we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventurespodcast.com. And while you're there,
We'd love you to sign up for our newsletter.
please sign up for the newsletter. Just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Again, speaking of that world, next week, it is our 4th anniversary. We've
Yeah.
mentioned it a few times already in this episode. We want you to be a part of that, our 4th anniversary episode. And there are several ways you can do that. One, through our social media channels. You can send us a note on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. You can also be a part of our Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group. If you're there, send us a message through that. And if you want to contact us, you can send it through our Gmail address, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right. And again, we really would love you to participate in this. It really means a lot to us, and we do this for you, and we love your feedback. And so I'm hoping all of you take time to participate.
And like I said, it can be just as easy as a little note sent through any of these social media channels or the Gmail account. If you want to get a little more detailed, you can send an audio, a voice clip to us. We can use that. Or if you want to do a video, that's great too. It all works, but we just appreciate, if you just want to listen, we appreciate that very much. But we really want you to be a part of this show if possible.
And if you really blow our socks off with something creative, we'll definitely reward you with a prize.
Oh, really? That's interesting. I guess Michelle, during all our packing, has fleshed out some prizes for us to give away. We'll see what those entail coming up in the future.
Free shopping, yes.
That's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.